Welcome back to the channel, YouTube. It's your boy, Taicho, that's X, and you already know we're about that analysis by paralysis. Having said that, we're going to jump right in. In our previous video and in this series, we've done a lot of really cool exploratory data analysis. First, reviewing the distribution of character appearances per chapter, followed by taking a look at the top 10 One Piece characters that appeared, which unsurprisingly was the Straw Hats. From there, in our last video, we took a look at the unique character appearances by saga to get an idea of which sagas introduce the widest breadth of characters, and we did identify somewhat of a relationship between the number of chapters in a saga and how that correlates to the number of character appearances. So with that being said, after talking about the sagas, I thought it would be a pretty good transition to look at the top non-strawhat character that appears in the story over time. I think this is pretty interesting because chronologically this should make sense with the sagas, and for One Piece readers out there, we should be able to tell what is going on in the story at that point in time, giving the character that most frequently appears outside of the Straw Hats. So without further ado, X, activating our dog Jupiters, is going to help us get there. So I've laid out a couple different steps here really quickly. We need to first identify the Straw Hats. So thankfully that'll be a pretty quick step. We have our top 10 list, which were the Straw Hats, so we can just essentially use that as our vector of characters to filter out. And so having said that, X, if you could give us a script that provides us with a vector of characters to filter out. Awesome. So here we go. We're going to call this Straw Hats. The name speaks for itself. We denote it as a vector. And basically what we do is we take the unique character names from the top 10, trim out all the white space, and we put that in a vector. So we'll enter that here, and you can see the Straw Hats starting off with Monkey D. Luffy, no last name Nami, One-Eyed Zoro, Vince Smoke Sanji, and so on and so on. The next thing we want to do is to create a variable. So in our prior data frames that we were working with, we have the date that the chapter actually drops, but what we really just want from there is the year. So X, if you could give us a quick script to create the variable chapter year, that would be awesome. Nice. And here we are. So essentially what we're doing is we're working off of our previous data frame, which was df01. And what we do is we use this mutate function to create a variable called, and then from there we filter out the Straw Hat characters, since we don't want to include them in our count because they'll just dominate the list year after year. It'll be Luffy. So we can run that, and we have a new variable. So there's 19,000 rows in here and 11 variables. You have the chapter. This is going to look very familiar to our prior data. Chapter, the character appearance, the type of appearance, the chapter name, date, structural content, arc saga, different links, and then lastly what we actually want, the chapter year. So we have that now. Moving forward, what we want to do is start to aggregate the character appearances by year. So in order to do that, we first need to aggregate it by character by year. So X, if you can give us the group by aggregation statement so we can see what it looks like on a year character basis. Nice. So continuing, we continue to use the pipe function, which is very easy, and we always want to create a new variable so that we don't have to go back and rerun the whole script. If like a variable changes or something, it's easier to clean up, but that's why we do so. We have another group by chapter, year, and character, and then we just summarize. So we want to know the chapter appearances, and we denote that by taking the length of unique chapter. So this will group by the chapter, year, and the character. And so we can take a look at that. DF04 over here, and you can see the amount of dimensions decreasing with each new data frame that we have. So now we see the year and the chapter appearances. Some groupings slipping through, but we'll take those out if we need to be. But yeah, so you can see the year, the character. Talk about the red hair pirates showing up and then dipping out. But if you're a weekly reader, you know we're in the end game now, so they're starting to appear more frequently. And we have all the different characters and their appearances. What we want to do now in terms of our next level of aggregation, so our second aggregation is to get the max. Basically, we just want to refine that so that we have the max character appearances. So X, if you could give us a script to create another data frame off of that aggregates by the year by taking the max character appearance. Sweet. And so here it is, exact same syntax essentially, but we're just grouping by the chapter year. And so we'll take a look. Nice. So we have the chapter year and the max appearances, which is great. We could see, you know, in 1997, a character appeared 13 times. In 1998, a character appeared 26 times. This is cool from a numerical perspective, but in the context of the story, it doesn't really help us understand what happens. So what we need to do now is go back and merge that table with our prior table that we just created, DF04, so that we have the character. And X, you know what to do, give us that merge script. And voila. There we go. So now we have DF05, which will merge that those two data frames. The join conditions will be the chapter year and the max appearances on the chapter year and the character appearances. We denote two join conditions because we need to make sure that we're not just joining on the year, because that would bring in duplicates. So we want to join on the year and the number itself. And now I'll run that. And Shazam. DF05, 31 observations. So we know One Piece has been around for 26 years. So this means that there's probably some duplicates in the character appearances, meaning that we have some character ties. You could see that in 2006, Gonbei and Chibney, they both appeared twice. Let's see, 2008, Cammy and Papag, they both appeared twice. I mean, you know, they're tied. I'm sorry, they didn't both appear twice. They're tied for the lead, and then should be some other duplicates somewhere. 2022, Yamato and Momonosuke appeared. Yeah. But there are our lead characters. So we could, you know, stop with just this table, but to make it a little bit more visually appealing, actually, if you could give us a script to make a line chart, that way we could see, you know, kind of the trend year over year on who appears most. Basically, we could see each point representing a year and the number of times that character appeared. So right off the bat, 2000, 2001, we have an outlier. That's Nefertari Vivi. Alabasta arc, you know, representing an arc that's becoming increasingly important, especially if you know what Vivi's middle name is. I'm not gonna spoil that if you're not caught up. But yeah, starting from the beginning, we have Buggy. You know, the Buggy antics, the Buggy Ball, the almighty Buggy Ball, the cage. You know, essentially first major opposing pirate crew is now Yonko. Definitely worth his bounty. And then from there we have Zeph. So that means in 1998 we were spending time in Baratie. I think that ended around chapter 60 or so. And then from there, Arlong. So we know Arlong Park. Probably I think the most significant arc in the East Blue Saga, given the theme, underlying theme that was illustrated between the fishmen and their detestment for humans that continues to play a role in One Piece, the theme of race and inferiority and such. So I thought that was great. And also we got Nami's backstory, Belmir, Nojiko. So good character development there for her as well. Then moving along, Nefertari Vivi comes in, you know, after we traverse up Riverside Mountain and we spend time with Laboon and Crocus. We end up at Whiskey Peak where Miss Wendays is introduced to us. You know, that name was short-lived, but interesting introduction. And then we spend time in Alabasta. On the note of Vivi, I hope she develops some type of interesting, I don't want to say power, but unique trait outside of just being part of a royal ancient kingdom. I think that would add some weight to her character in a sense. She was great with us. She stood up to Luffy, told him his bad character, but I'd like to see something there. From there we have Wapol. Honestly, underwhelmed with his character. Drum Island, I think, is probably something that is better watched in the anime than read in the manga. Some of the scenes just hit harder. Then we have Gedatsu, Bluno in 2005, Gunbei Chibney through 2006, Kokoro. So we know this is the time that we're spending in the Water 7 saga. So Water 7, Endy's Lobby, most people's favorite saga. It kind of speaks for itself. Interesting that you know, Bluno is ahead, but I mean, you get whooped like he does. Yeah. So cool. Then we move down the line. You know, we have 2007. We're down here. We have Gecko Morio 21. You know, the predominant character in Thriller Bark, but a really short arc. So he's probably, I wouldn't be surprised, on the lower end of the character count. And he is, you can see he's he's not high, but he's not the lowest. And then we have Cammy and Papag tied, essentially appearing in they appear probably in the same chapters throughout Sabaody. And then we have Ace. Shout out Ace, we all know what happens there. And then after that we got Shirahoshi. So now we're over here in 2011. Makes a lot of sense. Ancient Weapon Poseidon, you know what it is. And we got Tashigi representing. Tashigi over Smoker. Tashigi gonna take out Zoro in my eyes. Nah, I'm just playing. Then we got Caribou, which is pretty interesting. What do you guys think is gonna play out for Caribou? Who's he in cahoots with? Is it Blackbeard? Is it Shanks? Who is Caribou in cahoots with? Who is he trying to share the information of the whereabouts of the two ancient weapons? Let me know in the comments below. And then we got Law. Law, pretty much an honorary Straw Hat. You know how it is. Shout out Law. Law over Kid any day of the week. And then we got Carrot. Kind of a polarizing character. Charlotte Linlin, one of the Yonko Emperors, Whole Cake Island, we know what happened there. Kind of a gag Yonko character. In terms of potential, she should be the strongest, but like battle IQ is just like OD low, and yeah. And then Carrot is back again. Then we got Hyogyoru, the flower. So you know we're entering the Wano zone. Kozuki Momonosuke, top 5 written character in my eyes. I think by end of series, given that he now has Kaido's smile fruit, essentially he has Kaido's fruit, a swordsman, he's got the genetics of, you know, Chaden. Momonosuke, end of series power-wise, I don't know exactly where he'll be, but him and Yamato repping Wano, that's a formidable duo. Then we got Raid Boss Kaido, Kaido's child, Yamato, Momonosuke again, and we end off with Rob Gucci. Rob Gucci committed to the career. My man is a great agent. He ain't never sleeping. He out there to stop. Him being in the same room as Robin makes me weak, although he did promise to Luffy that he won't attack his friends unless he beats them, so we'll see how that plays out, but that doesn't mean that I'll be surprised if he keeps his word. But yeah, so those are the top characters over time, and I think they correlate really well with where the story was, as expected. It is interesting to kind of see the outlier, Vivi, early on in Alabasta, and I won't be surprised if over the next couple arcs she continues to appear, because the seeds have been planted. She's being targeted. She's with Big News Morgans, who seems to be in the vicinity of Egghead, given the transmission interception. So she has history with the Giants back in Little Garden. So I wouldn't be surprised if she somehow meets up with the Straw Hats and then joins their voyage on, you know, moving forward, because she will need protection. And if we look at the trend from the top 10 character appearances, they were all Straw Hats, so maybe Vivi will appear in enough chapters to get her into the top 11 and eventually join the Straw Hats. I don't know if that's something Oda has planned. Some people would love it. Will she go back to leading her nation? Who knows? Let me know your comments below. If you're enjoying the data analysis, please give me a like, subscribe for more content. It really helps bring awareness to the community. And until next time, Taicho out.